Good morning.
Hello,
Uh,
Boboi.
Good morning, Boboi. Good morning to everybody watching on the live stream in Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Kumu, and most especially those people watching on the replay. We have a very special guest all the way from Cebu. You know, this passionate individual, food, travel, lahat. Ang dami nagawa ni
Hindi
Boboy
naman.
Costas. And no, we wanted to know his story. Ano ba yung culinary DNA? What drives his passion to do all the things he's doing now? And especially during the pandemic, what happened? We're awesome live with Boboy. My name is Antonius, founder of our awesome planet, together with the Nancy Reyes Lumen from all the way from Houston,
Houston,
Texas.
Texas. Yahoo!
Houston, Texas. And please do join us this morning for an awesome discussion with Boboy. Can you do a short introduction? All right, Boboy. Let's start. Maybe can you give us a short introduction of how you started? I know not a lot of people know you because you're based in Cebu. At least the Manila folks here. If you can do a short introduction for them, and we'll get that started.
Okay, good morning everyone. Magandang umaga sa lahat. Especially to Tita Nancy and to Anton, who are actually the hosts of our awesome planet. Thanks for having me here this morning. Yeah, well, my name is Boboi Costas. No, I'm based in Cebu, and I've been doing community development work since, as far as I can remember, since 1990. So that's more
Wow.
than more than 30 years ago. So medyo ano na. Well, currently I'm on the crossover na sa between doing community work and ano na ako parang magko-cool down na, but sabi nila if really love doing your job, so every day is really it's not work for you anymore, no? So yeah, I've been doing community work since the 1990. I started with mga foreign funded projects on the environment. Well, I started with environmental management, and then I went into health, and then later on nagpunta ako ng water management with mga foreign funded projects, and it was in 2000, year 2000, when I discovered na pwede palang, you combine the community development work with tourism, no, as a means of livelihood for local
Mm.
communities. So from there, wala namang, well, ecotourism at that time in the Philippines, it was only parang it emerged in 2000, in 1998, no, during the time of I think it was President Estrada, no, and it was only in 2000 na sabi ko, maybe I should give it a try. Pero wala namang tinatawag na proof of concept sa community-based tourism, no, in the Philippines. Well, in other countries meron na, but dito sa Pilipinas at the time, people were just talking about ecotourism, community-based tourism, sustainable tourism, pero wala pang sinasabing proof of concept kung ano talaga ano yung working model, etc. But it took me around 9 years, no, to figure it out until one day I went to visit a friend I befriended when I was still with the NGO work. Um, then nakita ko yung river na maganda siya pero hindi naman siya for tourists, no? I mean, it was one big toilet for the community, no? So
Talaga.
people were cutting mangroves, they were blasting the reefs, no? They were into dynamite fishing. So it was really a very sad situation. But then if you look at the river, parang may potential siya. So sabi ko sa mayor na friend ko na let let me develop this into an ecotourism project. But then her background was also into community development work, and then sabi niya, do you think this will work. I said, let's try, no? I mean, wala pa naman dito sa Pilipinas masyado. Well, merong mga projects before 2009 because ecotourism in the Philippines started 1998. So merong mga projects but it wasn't really, I would call, it was working pero hindi naman talaga siya giving benefits, no, to the local communities. So yun, sinabi ko sa friend ko na let's start this. And then because there was no proof of concept, sabi niya it would be rough sailing doon sa municipal council, no, because she was the mayor. But then she was with me, no, on this journey. So with her support, we eventually parang may mga trade-offs, may mga anong tawag ito, mga na convince namin yung council at saka na persuade namin sila na let's give this a try, no, yung community project. So from there, we worked with the community, and then to make a long story short, that was 2009, and then today 2021 na, so mga 12 years na tayo. So the project is doing well. In fact, if you look at the pandemic, they were affected, no, because tourism worldwide, globally, was really down. But if you look at it, wala namang nag-change sa kanilang operations because that has always been their practice since 2009. Except for the face mask and the hand washing, walang nagbabago kasi when you talk about river cruise, no, they 1:1 eh. So parang may social distancing na, no, since 2009.
Right.
Kasi one guide is to one guest, and then if there are families who travel together, let's say the parents and the kids, we usually, since 2009, isang bubble lang sila. So wala talagang nag-change sa kanila except for that. So that's why I would say na maybe other destinations they had a really difficult time. No? In fact, nag-stop talaga. Although sa yung first project ko naman, nag-stop talaga siya. But mind you, they were, even under the pandemic, they were able to yung community pantries nila. I mean, it's really very inspiring, no? Because where would you find a community na even sila naghirap, but then they were able to give themselves, no? They were able to organize community pantries, and they were able to become frontliners in the municipality, no? Because maganda na yung working relationship nila with the local government unit at saka yung association nila. So they were the first ones tapped by the local government nung nag-lockdown. So the local government didn't really have a hard time of looking for frontliners because they were already trained for that, no? Yeah.
Anong website nung project mo?
Actually, it's not a website. It's just a Facebook page. It's called Aloguinsan River Cruise.
Ikaw gumawa nito.
Okay.
It's
When you say frontliners, what do you mean by frontliners? The people, who are they?
Sila yung nagmaman ng lockdown, and then they assisted the contact tracers. They distributed food to yung mga although they were in need of help, no, but they were also helping other people, no. I think the beauty of that is kasi organized na sila eh. I mean, you don't really have to organize them again, no. So isang lang ng local government unit, makikita mo talaga na they rose up to the occasion, no. Kasi organized na sila. I think yun talaga ang advantage when you have a very cohesive and very organized local community, especially in the grassroots.
Yeah, well.
Aloguinsan, di ba? Aloguinsan.
Yes.
Tama.
May photos kaya. Anyway, if you can do that to that river, you can do it to Pasig River.
You know what? In 2014, I met for the first time Miss Gina Lopez. And then she told me, ikaw pala you were the guy who's responsible for that yung river project of, fishermen na talagang nag-ano siya, very successful. Sabi ko, yes, ma'am. Tapos sabi niya, can we do it on Pasig River?
Oh.
And I said, we can probably do that. And then from 2014 until the succeeding years, talagang non-stop na yung pag-meet namin. In fact, when she comes to Cebu, but we always see each other, no, until her death in kailan ba yun? 2019, no.
Yeah.
So in fact, we had projects together in Cebu, no, but not in Pasig, no, River.
Okay.
Wait, I'll share the website no for ano
Mm.
kasi this is a really so ito 'yun no, di ba? Tama.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
The Aloguinsan. Wow.
Yes.
So ngayon they're still operational. I bet.
Yeah, they're still operational.
Wow, ganda.
They're still they opened last October last year, no. In fact, although we can really say na hindi pa masyadong tumataas yung arrivals nila if you compare it pre-pandemic, pero they also put a cap, no, a cap to the number of visitors visiting in the river every day. So they just put it a maximum of 60 visitors. We call it the carrying capacity of the river.
Uh-oh.
So for them, it's okay na sa kanila yung 60, no. So it's mostly by reservation. So if you cannot make it to the 60 cap per a day, so you should book the following day or at a later date.
Okay. So this is income generating for the community.
Yes, tita. Ano siya? Each visitor pays around 850. That's package na yan. May river cruise, and then you have a lunch, you have a snack, and then may mga cultural performances sila, and then meron silang weaving because that's their traditional economic activity sa river. Meron silang weaving, yung mat weaving na demonstration at saka puso making, no, and then there's a full river cruise with local guides or storytellers, and then pwede kang mag-swim doon sa river, and then sa mouth sa river, there's a very beautiful underwater yung coral garden. So
pwede kang magano.
pwede
kang it's allowed.
Yes, actually you can swim, no, but in 2016 2015 I think 2015 because successful talaga yung business venture nila, bumili sila ng glass bottom boats na dalawa, no, with the help of the Department of Labor.
Nice.
So each glass bottom boat costs them $1 million each, no.
Wow.
So now they're, aside from the river cruise, they bring visitors to the mouth of the river where they can actually see the sardine run and the underwater coral gardens. You should try this when you're in Cebu. Let me know.
Oo, yeah. Actually, nanonood si Lab Ajuma and say, mabuhay po kayong tumutulong sa mga local communities.
Yan. Yes, Lab. Yeah.
Oo. And Herbert says, good morning all. Herbert.
Yes, good morning.
So, I got interested, Anton, in what you were saying, Boboi, about storytellers.
Yes.
Who are they? What do they tell? That's storytelling now is so important.
Ano siya, when we started the project in 2009, we thought of training kasi sila yung they know their place like the back of their hand. So sila yung tinitrain namin na magiging guides, or we call them storytellers or local interpreters, no, because they not only guide the visitors, no, they not only babysit the visitors when they go to the river for a cruise, but they also communicate the significance. Ano yung significance? Ano yung spirit ng place, no, for them, no. So when they bring visitors out for a river cruise, they tell stories about for example, the important landmarks, no, in the river na when they were young or when they were kids or even before World War, no, kasi may mga storytellers kami na mga 60 years old na, no, pataas. And in fact, they were what you call this, when they were kids, they frequented the place. No, the river was their playground. So every time they bring visitors for a river cruise, they tell stories about their childhood. They tell stories about how their grandparents or their parents hid under the mangrove forest during World War II, no,
Yeah.
from the Japanese. And
Mm-mm.
then and then even today they tell of how they became enemies of the environment, no, they became yung nagda-dynamite ng fish, they were cutting
Yeah.
mangroves, they were trapping birds, and then until their transformation in the project came, no? So talagang you can really see in their and hear listen in their story. You will know from their stories now there's really I would say a huge transformation, no, from being what you call this, parang parang hopeless, no, na mga hopeless life, no, to lives where they were able to turn around, to make it work, no, to change, no, for the better,
How do you make
ganyan.
it sustainable?
ah there are a lot of, well, first is, for me, sustainable is not really a destination, no? It's an ongoing journey every day. And the important thing is you celebrate um, small triumphs, no, along the way. But yeah, on the question of sustainability, dalawang issue yung parang ina-address namin. Number one is yung tinatawag natin na intergenerational, no.
Yeah.
Most of the community members now are earning much that they already send their kids to school, to colleges, no. So yung question is, who will what do you call this, who will sustain the venture, who will protect the river once they're
Yeah.
gone? So that's the first question. But we've already made some headway along that area, because we're training now their we're training other youth, no, in the village, no, we're training other sons and daughters to become uh, the next, no, to be the successors of the projects. Parang they're standing on the shoulders of the older generation. So what they do currently is may mga ano sila, yung mga mentoring programs for youth, for kids. And then even during the pandemic, no, nagre-recruit sila ng new members, yung new blood, no. And we're actually looking for mga eco leaders, yung ordinary persons in the communities na may mga potential sila for leadership, no. And we separate them from what we call the local elites, no, kasi in every community, especially in Philippine, even grassroots communities, may mga sinasabi natin mga captured elite, no. But we're separating the true leaders from yung mga mga captured elite sa local
Mga
community,
sosyal.
mga social, no, mga social sa community. But we're trying our best. No, the community is trying their best. The second one is um, one way to sustain the one way to sustain tourism, especially post pandemic, would be to embrace digital technology. No, it makes destinations safer with contactless payment, no,
Yeah.
even virtual tours, and it makes it sustainable, no, kasi it makes communities resilient, no, in terms of not only natural disasters, but we also have like the COVID, for example, no, it's a health crisis, no, and maybe financial disasters we don't foresee, no, in the future. So dalawa yung pinag-addressan namin ngayon, digitalization and intergenerational sustainability
What
for
are the
succession.
Do you have any of the top five destinations in Cebu that you would like to develop this way as community tourism? Meron ba ito?
Yes, if I have my way, I would do Camotes Islands, where I'm from, where I grew up. I would do um, Alcoy. Alcoy is it's a small town in Cebu. In fact, there's mining there,
Cebu.
dolomite. But it holds one of the remaining forest patches in Cebu, and it's where you
Wow.
can see. It's where there are. It's the biodiversity is unique. It's the only place. Well, not the only place, but one of the few places in Cebu where you can still see the Cebu cinnamon. Yung Cebu cinnamon tree, which is only found in Cebu and nowhere else in the entire planet. And it's
Mm.
where you see the Cebu flower pecker, which was thought to be extinct in the 1900s until one ornithologist, one birder, saw it in the 1980s. I think that was 1980s. And there are a lot of new things being discovered in Alcoy almost every year. No? Meron na tayong Cebu mistletoe, meron na tayong Cebu flower pecker, mga ganito. Cebu black shaman, no? Which is para siyang icon ng Cebu, no? Because it's a bird, black, but it sings a very melodious and very haunting na
Oh,
sound, no?
wow.
Yung bird
Ah.
call niya. Yeah, so it's these are actually unique biodiversity in Cebu which can only be found in Alcor. Even the Cebu hawk owl, no?
Mhm.
It's actually it was well, first they thought of it as a para siyang Camigin hawk owl, but then in I think 6 years ago, ornithologists found out that iba talaga siyang species because of the difference in, I think, the way it calls, yung bird call niya, saka yung color ng eyes niya. So
Mhm.
it's really different from the Camigin hawk owl. So
Okay.
iba
Wow.
talaga siya.
Nice.
So that's
Okay.
that's uh that's the second, no, Camotes
Uh,
alcoy, and I would like to develop the
uh,
third one, community based, would be um, there's an island in that's part of Santa Fe and Bantayan. That's that's Gintarcan. It's also a very
mhm.
beautiful island, very small, and then there's a lagoon, a secret lagoon there, a la, these places you would find in mga karst formations. That's the third one. The fourth
Mhm.
one would be, let's talk about cultural tourism. No? I would like to develop the one um, uh, in the south. No, although we've started doing community-based cultural heritage tourism, it's one of the oldest parishes in Cebu, Bolhoon, where you can find one of the oldest churches in the Philippines.
Mhm.
That's the fourth one, and the fifth one, I'd like to make it challenging. I'd like to develop the Oslo whale shark tourism and make it more sustainable.
I was
Oh,
about to ask that.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us a brief background? How did that get started, the Oslo whale shark?
Um, well, it really came into national prominence in, I think that was 2011. But years before that, fishermen were already feeding, no, whale sharks. In fact, years before that, well, of course, whale sharks are very common in Philippine waters. No, years before that, fishermen, no, in
mhm.
Cebu have already encountered these. We call them gentle giants, no, because they're harmless, no. And it was only in before 2011 when they started. Oslob started feeding it, no, started feeding it to make the whale shark stay, no, and from there, it became well known for whale shark tourism until it gained national prominence, even international, in 2011, if I remember. Yeah, 2011. And well, the rest is history, they say, no? Uh, Talagang nag-boom yung whale shark tourism in Oslo because of the number of tourists arriving there every day. Because it's a very, I don't know if you've tried, it's a very surreal experience.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're out in the middle of the sea, and then, well, in Oslo, it's not really middle, no? But It's
Uh-uh.
along the coast. But in Sorsogon, it's really, yung Sorsogon talaga is very surreal, no? Yung sa
Uh-uh.
Donsol, because it's really out there in the deep, no? You can
You
really
know,
see huge
if you don't
things, no?
believe in if you don't believe in God, that is the that animal is what will tell you, hey, God
Yes,
created this and everything else.
yes.
Yeah,
Parang mga bus, it's even
yeah,
bigger than buses, no?
yeah.
Uh-uh.
And then you're
Anton,
out there
have you done
swimming.
that?
Yeah, yeah, I'm familiar with the story.
Yeah,
And
Oh
I
yeah.
was wondering how can that be sustainable, that
yeah, yeah.
that
Uh,
destination?
my take on that is this, no? When I was still working in the Cebu provincial government as the provincial tourism officer, we were about to limit it, no? We were about to limit it to about the agreed, no, a number of visitors in
Uh-uh.
a particular day would limit it to about 800, because at that time we did a study with the help of Lamave, a large marine vertebrate project. It's a French NGO based in Oslo, and
Mhm.
we also worked with the University of San Carlos Marine Biology Department. So we brought in different stakeholders, no, from the universities, from NGOs, from the academy, even from the private sector, the business. So we've agreed to limit it to about 800, and then maybe later on, and then reduce it. But we wanted it to be gradual, because we would, as much as possible, we didn't also want um, to let the communities, the local guides suffer, no, the abrupt what do you call this, abrupt
Cut,
number of
flash.
visitors. So, but then elections happened, and I wouldn't say anything about it. So, hanggang dyan na lang.
Well, there's good and bad critics about it that the whale sharks are corralled and they're not
Yeah.
free. Parang
Yes.
they're like it's a circus na.
Yes.
But
Uh,
is that good? Is that true? You really
yeah. You,
coral them?
not really core. Well, wala namang physical fence, no, na nakalagay dun
There's
sa
no
dagat.
physical fence.
Wala namang structure. It's just that uh, the community is actually feeding them, no, with yung yung kinakain ng whale shark. So the issue there, according to the reports I've read, the issue there is sometimes yung pinapakain hindi na fresh, no? Unlike when you really leave these whale sharks forage, no, or yung talagang they look
Sila
for
mismo.
food
Yeah.
talaga na fresh, no? So what they do is minsan yung pinapakain is actually ano na, what do you call this, hindi na fresh, and then they have to source it from outside of Oslo, no? Kasi wala naman talagang
Uh,
madami, or hindi siya sustainable ano if you
Ano ba
really
yan?
feed them.
Ano ba
krill,
yan?
di ba?
Alamang?
It's
Alamang?
krill.
Krill, yeah,
Yeah.
krill,
Krill.
krill, yeah.
Is krill alamang?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, these are very tiny,
Maliit.
crustaceans. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's the issue there is really some people would say it's altering the feeding behavior
The feeding area.
of the whale sharks. Um, Maybe, and others would say it's although on later years, kasi hindi talaga magkasundo yung ano. So in later years, yung NGO there was just ano na lang talaga, helping the communities how to do it. No?
Uh,
So
Pero hindi
nag-assist
ba
sila.
that is counted as community development because obviously that community, benefited.
Exactly. In fact, talagang it really changed, no, it
Oo,
changed their
their life.
lives economically, I would say, no, economically, and maybe even socially. But come to think of it, there's really the question of sustainability, no?
Oo, yun lang. Hanggang
Hanggang
kailan.
kailan ka magpapakain ng whale sharks, no?
Correct.
It's
Oo.
yeah, it's para yeah, it's yun ang question there, no? if
Okay.
if you know.
What happened during the pandemic? Tuloy-tuloy
Uh,
pa rin ba yan or ano nangyari in Cebu?
Unfortunately, sadly, hindi. No, I mean, of course, I think every destinations worldwide, no, talagang nagsasuffer sila during the pandemic. Most especially when whale shark tourism in Oslo was really enjoying, no, the boom
Mm-mm.
before the pandemic. So parang it was really an abrupt change, no, in terms of income. In fact, there are local guides during the pandemic, even until now, no, they keep on sending me message, no, about ano talaga yung gagawin ng community under the pandemic when lots of them are suffering. Tapos sabi ko naman, well, that's really the case in the destination worldwide, no? Especially uh, yung mga frequented, no? Yung talagang high in tourist arrivals, no? Talagang parang naninibago sila kasi from from thousands to thousand every day to 1,000 visitors every day to zero, di ba? So wala talaga, no? It's sad, very
Well,
sad.
is it improving now? Is it going back?
Yeah. I've talked to one of the leaders, no, of the community guides about a week ago. We were texting, and he said, yeah, it's tourism is coming back, no, to Oslo, but it's not the arrivals is not really on a level na parang pre-pandemic siya. So talagang nag-suffer yung arrivals.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we'll share some of the photos just to provide context lang with the story then of
Sure.
Boboi. And maybe you can caption some of them. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Saan to? Is this the
This
forest na sinasabi mo?
Yeah, this is in Burauen, Leyte.
Ah,
It's in the Mahagnaw Volcano National Park. I'll call it free as a bird. Well, actually, we were that this day was on this day we were training the local community housewives. No, majority of the trainees were housewives. Imagine, no? We were training them on bird guiding, no? How to guide birders and bird enthusiasts when they go out on a birding tour. So may malaking lake doon where you can see a lot of birds. In fact, when we did the bird inventory with the help of the Philippine Biodiversity Conservation Foundation, may mga new records sila ng bird sightings in Leyte Island, no? When we did this. So this was in Mahagnaw Lake, no? Training the local community on how to become bird guides or storytellers. Ito
Wow.
yung sa Aluginsan ko.
oh, what
This
is it?
Uh-huh.
well, in the company of women, I would say. No, if you look at the photo, isa lang yung siguro dalawa lang yung lalaki doon, no? The rest of the men went out to fish. This was the early days of my project. 2009 pa to. 2009. So, nagmi-meet ako ng mga nanay, no? Women, no? We were talking about I can't remember the agenda on this day, but well, mostly we always talk about how to jumpstart their ecotourism, no? Kasi these are the early days, no? Siguro the project was well into mga ano pa to, mga third month of
Ah,
2009.
wow.
So
How long
walang
did it
lalaki.
how long ba yung planning mo diyan for setting it up? Matagal-tagal
For
din.
setting it up, yeah, I yung when I started doing the framework, I did it for about a year, no?
Wow.
Although sometimes you just forget it and then
Mhm.
balik ka naman and then until such time na met ko yung mayor, no? I went to the site and then presented her yung framework.
What about
Okay.
the food? what dishes are indigenous to that community? Is that what you're serving to the tourists?
Uh, when we started the project, we usually do a community profiling, no? At saka baseline survey. So maraming issues yung lumalabas. Like, it's not, if you look at the interconnectedness of things, no? Talagang, it will really boil down to, um, kasi if you say poverty, it's not the, it's not the cause, no? Maybe it's the effect, no?
Mhm.
Kasi if you, ang daming ang daming issues na pwede mong sabihin na which it's a cycle eh. It's a cycle, no? So, ang daming issue like economic, no? Yung at this time when we were doing the community profiling, they were earning siguro 150 pesos a day. That's a day, no? And the
Yeah.
income came from fishing and selling charcoals, no, from the illegally cut
Mango.
mangroves of the river.
Mhm.
No, so yeah, generally they were earning that much, 150 pesos a day, if on a good day, no, from the fish catch. And
Okay.
then although yung mga husbands nila are in the cities then.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, yes, this
Ah,
is still in the same. No, this is a different community. No, this is the second destination I developed after the first one.
Ah.
When this community of fishermen found out the success of the first community, so they were inspired to do it.
Mhm.
So na-encourage sila na the neighboring community was doing well already, no, with the income stream they were getting from tourist arrivals. So we developed this more than a year after we started enjoying the benefits of the first community. This was in, we call it the Hermit's Cove, because during the storytelling sessions of the elders, yung history daw ng place, there was once ermitanyo, no, who lived on this place. That was pre-Spanish, no,
Mhm.
pre-Spanish. So you can imagine how the ermitanyo lived, no. I mean, his domain, no, ang ganda.
Oo. Where is this? Where is this?
This is still in Aloguinsan, no? This is the neighboring
Still in
village.
a
The
neighboring
first,
village.
yeah.
What happened?
So right now, the local community is running the whole beach. So it's still community based, and this is also another community na natatawa ko kasi when last December during the pandemic, I told them, so ano na, kumusta na kayo? Ano nang
Oo.
yung income nyo? But then they opened in October, 2 months before I asked them. And then they were just, smiling and said, okay naman kami, sir. So I demanded an parang audit, no?
Oo.
Parang sabi ko, parang hindi kayo na-affected ng pandemic. May I see your books? So tiningnan ko, oy, from October to December, ang laki. Ang laki ng nila kita. Kasi at that time, Cebu province was already open to tourists within the province.
Oo, within the
So
province.
the need for people to go out. Tapos it's a beach, no? So what I didn't know was from October pala to December, they were already accepting guests, no? So they really had a very happy
Galing.
Christmas, no? They really had a very happy
Oo.
Christmas kasi
So, anong tawag sa place? Herbit
uh,
Cove?
yung
Hermit's Cove.
local Hermit's Cove siya in English kasi we gave the parang may universal ring siya, no? But locals would call it Cantabugon, no? Tabugon is the name of the
Tabugon.
hermit. Tabugon is
Ah,
the name of the hermit, and then Can refers to possession in Cebuano. So if you say Can Anton, meaning that's Anton's, or
mm,
Can Nancy, that means
Cantabugan.
that's Tita Nancy's. No? So Can Tabugon meaning
Tabugon. Ay,
it's
ganda.
Tabugon's. Yeah,
Nancy,
yeah.
punta tayo dito. Nancy.
pwede bang hindi naka-bikini dyan?
Pwede naman.
No, you know why? There are
Ay,
rules here also now that you cannot come in shorts or yung mga ganon. That's
bakit?
I don't know, parang pang paganda ng view.
ng
Hindi
view.
pwede yung mga naka-duster, naka-ganon-ganon. Anyway,
Oh, saan to?
there you go.
That's in Burawin in Leyte, no? I would call it it takes a village, no? So we were I was discussing the benefits of community-based tourism to the whole because national parks in the Philippines, although by law they're national parks, unlike national parks in the US na parang walang tao, di ba? But in the
Oo.
Philippines, nauna yung ano natin eh. I mean, late na yung laws natin eh. So may mga tao na sa national
May
parks
mga tao.
before they were even declared, no, as such.
Ah,
So the
okay.
only solution to that is you rally behind or you organize the communities living within the fringes or living inside national parks and organize them to go into ecotourism. Now, ecotourism, I'm emphasizing it because that's the only tourism activity mandated by the Philippine law when it comes to national parks.
Okay.
Yeah. So, kasi yung ecotourism, that's sustainable, it benefits the local communities. Tapos, may amount din na proceeds from the ecotourism will go to the protection of the national parks in the Philippines.
Okay, next.
Hooray for Women Force. Wow. They're
Santo.
really the
Yes.
one. Okay, nice.
I'll call it the road less traveled.
Mukha nga.
I was on this day, I was going on a training. Tapos, there's no other way to reach the training site but to walk. So I had to walk all the way, no? Siguro mga from the highway, this is 2 kilometers. And then I didn't know that yung invited speaker ko, I was training on organizational communication
Mhm.
and team building. Yung facilitator ko was actually a psychologist, no, na ano din siya, photographer, no, photography enthusiast. So I didn't know na she was taking
siya
photos
kumuha.
of me
Nice. Ganda.
kasi nauna ako eh.
Oo. Ito.
That's
Awards.
if you look at that, I'm the shortest, no? But I'm standing tall with all those this was the first award the village got, no? In 2015, United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, and the Pacific Asia Travel Association for best community-based initiative in the Asia
Congrats.
Pacific region. We bested entries from 26 other countries around the Asia Pacific.
Galing.
Yay.
Yeah.
Congrats, Boboy.
Thank you.
Oh, ito. Is this the Aloguinsan?
That's Aloguinsan. That's the river. No, that's the Bojo River. So
This
if you
is the
look,
mouth. Okay.
so if you look,
Excuse me,
the
may
mouth.
mga river animals ba dyan? Like crocodile? Or
Wala naman.
snakes?
Wala naman.
Wala.
Pero meron siyang with the community, with the guidance of us, the academe, nag-inventory kami ng how many birds, how many plants are there, and then how many fishes, how many corals, how many
Ganda.
dolphins, how many whales visiting the
May
mouth,
dolphin.
etc.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
may dolphin siya tito. Especially pandemic, no? Hindi siya na-destroy. That's the same
Dire-diretso
river.
to. Dire-diretso to.
And that's that's their facilities, no? Bottom part ng
Ito
river.
ba?
Yeah. If you look at the hillsides,
Okay.
na siya, reforested. May photo ako doon na 2000. This was taken like 2 years ago. Pero may photos ako na when we started the project in 2009, talagang denuded yan,
So ano
galing,
yan? Are those mangroves yung around the coast?
Yes, mangroves yung by yung riparian zones
Okay.
niya, yung
Ganda.
river
Ang haba
valleys.
pala ng river, no?
Oo.
Medyo
Yeah. That's
Parang
almost 2
ang
kilometers.
Yeah.
This one,
Okay, I was in
recent lang.
I was in BGC in Manila bringing all the culinary products of Cebu. This was a program of the DOT in 2018 November. So we promoted Cebuano food, no, in BGC. So one of the guests during the opening was DOT Secretary Puyat. So I showed her around the Cebu booth.
Oh, kamusta pala ang culinary heritage naman?
Yeah.
Do you promote it as part of a
Uh,
community
yes.
or separate initiative yan usually?
When you talk about community-based tourism, of course, visitors eat, no, when they, and one of the memories, especially the best memories of a particular destination, is best created with its cuisine. No, I would say, parang if the food is not good, the vacation is not good. No, parang
So
ganyan. No?
ganoon,
So
ganoon ang ano.
Uh,
Ganoon.
so, so, ano naman, in every destinations na dinidevelop ko, I usually start with, part ng community profiling will be a research on the culinary or gastronomic resources ng isang community, no?
Okay.
So we started with mga interviewing mga cooks, mga hidden kitchens, or mga ano-ano dyan. No?
Ano yan?
So,
Ano to?
it's a deer. It's a Visayan deer found only in the forests of wala na to sa Cebu, no? So found in other Visayan regions like Negros and Panay, no? But this
Ah,
one was taken in Leyte when they have where they have a breeding program, a deer breeding program to maybe to restock the wild once again with Visayan deer.
nice. Oh, Golden Globe Awards.
Wow!
Ito.
Bakit ka
Okay.
napunta dyan?
At that time, they were looking for somebody who can drumbeat tourism in the Philippines, especially when it comes to local communities. Kasi merong mga Hollywood stars na yung trip nila, yung advocacy nila is communities, grassroots.
Wow!
This type of things, no? Mga environment projects like Leonardo DiCaprio is into environment, right? So I went there and then wala lang, just meeting stars and then talking about my projects in the Philippines.
Sino-sino? Sino-sino yung mga na-meet mo?
Na-met ko a lot, no? In fact, well, I'm just a confession, hindi naman talaga ako hindi ko kilala yung na stars eh. Pero after I talk, after I've talked to a particular person, tapos sasabihin ko sa kasama ko, sino yun? tapos sabi nila Gerard Butler daw yung nakausap ko, Mark Ruffalo. And then, well, I know Vanessa Hudgens, no, because number one, she's parang youthful yung dating niya, no, and then I really talked to her because her mother is actually a Bisaya. Yeah.
Okay. Ito. Saan naman to?
That's during the pandemic, I organized we found out na yung COVID frontliners sa Cebu, yung nurses, doctors, even yung mga janitors ng hospitals, they really needed even this time, no, they really needed food, no, yung nutritious food, so that they can battle, no, the illness, no. So 6 years ago, I started a group of chefs, no. I started a group of chefs, parang informally lang. In fact, Tita Nancy was invited, I think, twice, no, in one of our events. So I started with a group of chefs coming from different hotels in Cebu, and then we formed what we call Cocina Collective, no. So it's actually on a voluntary basis. So during pandemic, I asked them if we can procure food from yung mga surplus or mga yung produce ng mga farmers na hindi nabenta because of the issue on yung transportation, yung delivery, kasi lockdown dito, lockdown doon, yung hindi makapasok sa isang lugar. So we called on farmers, if kung hindi siya pwedeng ma-donate, so bibilhin namin, parang ganyan. So we actually raised, no, the group raised about 8,000 euros. I don't know magkano yun sa US dollars.
Ang galing
And
mo.
then 40,000 bags of food distributed to 10 hospitals in Cebu, police, the PNP, even mga barangay tanods, no? So, yun. And then we ran it for 6 months.
Boboy, who are these chefs? Can you name
Si ano
them?
yan? Okay, si Chef June yan, yung naka-white, no?
Mhm.
He's now with Savoy Hotel, yung sa
Wala ko
Robert,
yan.
ano ba yun? And then on the right, he's our man doing the procurement sa carbon market.
Mm-hmm.
That's Chef Richard Howe, who's
Si Richard.
also a teacher. Yeah, he joined yung Shilane Tita, di ba?
Oo.
Ano siya, he's also teaching culinary at the University of San Jose
Yeah.
Recoletos.
Okay.
And then the guy with the red bandana is the chef Jufri Distal. I think he's now the executive chef sa Radisson in
Wow.
Yeah, who is this one with the turban?
That's ano, yung red turban si Chef Geoffrey yan, Distal, no?
Okay. And
Of
then yung sa middle.
Radisson. And then sa middle, that's Chef
Yeah.
Chef Romel. He's with he owns this guy is very persistent because he lost all of his businesses during the pandemic.
Wow.
But then right now even if he lost his business, tumutulong din siya, no? And then right now he's picking up the pieces. So nagsa-start din siya ng another business, no? This time. And then the one on the last, that's Chef Coke Simblante, no? He was with you sa Argao, no? He was one of the judges on the rightmost.
Yeah.
He's now, I think he's the executive chef yata ng Bai Hotel.
Hello to all of you chefs.
Yeah, they were very they were really indispensable during the food distribution under the pandemic.
Okay. Next.
Yeah.
That's it.
Meron pa? Meron pa ba?
Ano yan? Oh, palay.
No, this is the millet.
Huh?
This is the kabog. Yung ancient cereal ng Cebu.
Okay.
Yeah, this grows in the mountains of Katmon, no, in the northern part of Cebu. So I think this was taken last year. We went there and this time we were helping the local farmers develop a experiential tour on millet, no, from harvesting to cooking suman or budbud and turning it into ingredients for other stuffs like paella or cookies, etc.
Galing.
Saan ba to? Okay. These are my soul children, my kids. In every community I organize or I have projects, I usually connect with the kids because that's one way of feeling young, no? I mean, I would say I'm childless, no? Although biologically my wife and I don't have a kid, no? But when it comes to soul kids, no, I have a lot in every community. In fact, ninong ako ng ang daming tawag ito, ang dami ko ng pinagninongan, no, ng mga communities.
Very nice. Yeah. Okay.
That's my wife, no? She's my moral compass. We
we're somehow related.
Yeah, I know. You have same ancestors, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my profile pic. Oh, but nandoon, no?
All right, galing. So inspiring, So inspiring.
Yes. Really, yeah.
Wow.
So now, how are you going to move on? And we even forgot to ask you about your personal culinary DNA. Ano ka ba? What is your palate? Is it full Cebuano or ang dami mo nang napuntahan eh?
I can wala akong wala. I'm very I experiment with food. I usually kung may mga bago naman, but I usually have this question na number one, is it edible? Or number two, is it palatable? Or is it safe to eat? But generally, I would like to experiment. I would like to eat anything that's there, no? Right now I'm doing a culinary survey of the food in the Visayan region, no, with DOT. So
Wow, food mapping
parang
then.
Mapping.
Nice.
food mapping, yes, I'm doing it, and
Nice.
actually na-shell shock because of the pandemic, but
Based on the
we're
pandemic.
wrapping it up.
What are the
Yes.
three top dishes there in your map?
In your map.
Mga coconut based, no? I don't know if but I found sa Visayas, we really have we share that same common na may coconut talaga siya. It's not necessarily anghang, no, but it's coconut. Number two, it's more kilaw meaning yung fresh. Yeah, fresh. And then number three is yung humba. Yung humba namin, if you look at the humba,
Number
yes.
3 pa ang humba.
Adobo.
Of course.
Adobo, okay. May mga
Adobo.
iba't ibang way of preparing it I found out, no, in the Visayan region.
Yeah.
Alright.
Merong adobong, twice cooked. I don't know, no? Pinaano yung oil
Galing.
muna.
Galing, no? So inspiring, Nancy.
Yeah.
Galing mo. Ay, community development,
Yes,
sustainability,
community.
culinary. Galing.
But, it takes a skill, communication skill like kay Boboy, to be able to reach out. Kasi sometimes there's resistance lalo na from the men folks. So I think
Yes.
he channeled it through the women. And it was an extra income. So that works for a Filipino community.
Exactly, Tita. It's easier to communicate with the women than the men, no? And if you notice then, I think yung Philippine tourism talaga has a way with women because women are more caring, they're more warm, they're friendlier than men.
They're more communicative.
And this is the first time also in Aloguinsan, it was the first time I had some, brushes with like, sinasampui na ka, tapos, suddenly may mga notice ka to, report to the police station, may mga blotter ka, mga ganyan. So it was actually like disturbing the status quo of the community, parang disrupting the status quo, no? The power hierarchy in the community, ganyan. But it's worth the work.
Your work is really
Right.
very inspiring, and it should really be appreciated and rewarded well.
Yeah, maganda sana if we can train the next generation to do this. I mean, it's a tall order, pero yeah, I would be very happy to mentor, or that's one of my dreams talaga is parang to put up para siyang the next generation can.
I want to learn. I want to learn from you.
Yeah.
Hahanap akong community that we can
Why
develop
not, no?
here. Sige. Balik kita. Maraming salamat. Nancy, any final question? Wala na? Boboy, any final message na lang siguro? And how can people contact you?
Yes. Final message. Well, yung tourism in the Philippines will be back. No? I mean,
Hello? Yo, wala ka pa? Ayaw?
Hello? Hello. Yeah, tourism in the Philippines will be back.
And then you can also, Boboy, you can also ask maybe for some funding while you're talking.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of the problems na talaga, funding. But once the Philippine tourism bounces forward, I would say forward rather than back, no? We really would see a lot of communities na makabenefit sila sa tourism. Although some people would say na, well, they survived even without community-based tourism. Yeah, they survived, but mas maganda sana if they can also have.
Kaya mo yan, Boboy.
I'm sorry?
Kaya mo yan.
Yeah, with the help, especially kung merong mga funding, no? Kasi these are not, these are expensive things to do, no? I mean, if
Uh-uh.
truth be told, no, yung community organizing is very expensive. It comes with, dapat yung community, yung local government may budget for this, no? Aside
Balik ka sa
from
punta ka ulit sa
serious.
Golden Globe.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, they they earn millions and millions. They need to pay taxes. So doon na lang sa atin na lang nila ibuhos.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, in fact,
Okay.
meron akong mga partners, no, one of the top corporations in the Philippines. Nagpa-project naman sila with communities, and then
Okay.
I'm just there to facilitate the development. Yeah.
All right. Maraming salamat, Boboy. And of
Boboy,
course, we'll
thank
see
you
you in
very
Cebu.
much.
Thanks for having me here, Anton, Tita Nancy, and it's nice to see you, no? Once again. Si Anton, hindi ko na siya nakita for maybe tagal na. The last time I
Tagal na.
saw him was, I don't know if you remember, we were in Bohol. That was a
Oo.
long time ago.
Tagal na nun, I was just starting
Yeah,
lang.
Tita Nancy was at the Chalet, no, in Robinson's Galleria in Cebu. That was the last time we met.
Anyway, you have
Alright.
made your destinations an awesome place for the awesome planet.
Yes.
Yes.
And I want to learn. I'll seriously reach out to you.
Sure.
Wanted
Yeah,
to
no
help some
problem.
destinations.
Okay.
Uh,
And if you're in Cebu, planning to go to Cebu, drop me a line, call me. I can bring you there.
all right.
More
Maraming
power to
salamat.
you.
Thank you guys.
Salamat.
Live
Thank
an
you.
awesome life. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video in our Awesome Planet YouTube and Facebook. And share this with your family and friends interested into community development, sustainability, and culinary heritage. Ang galing. Thank you, Boboi. Maraming salamat.
Thank you. Nice. It's a pleasure.
God bless you.
Can you do a short clip?